With his approval ratings in a freefall, U.S. President Joe Biden is a worried man. A report by Washington Post claims Biden pulled up senior campaign officials for failing to sell his achievements and improve the low ratings. Now, according to the report, in November, after Biden pardoned 2 turkeys at the White House, he met a small group of senior campaign officials where he demanded answers from them on what actions they are taking to reverse his unacceptably low approval rating. The White House claims it has a plan for victory in November next year. This includes reminding voters about the flaws of former President Donald Trump and convincing the Americans that the economy is safe in Biden's hands. However, voters remain highly skeptical about the Biden administration. Several recent polls in states like Arizona, Georgia and Michigan have put Trump ahead of Biden. However, Biden has described these polls as wrong. According to a poll conducted by Monmouth University, Biden's approval rating is at an all-time low of 34%. The president even fell behind his vice president Kamala Harris, who is at 35%. According to the survey, 53% voters disapprove Biden's work on tackling unemployment, while 52% disapprove his performance in energy and transportation infrastructure. Mark Merowitz is the professor at State University of New York Maritime College. Mark is joining us live from New York. Mark, thank you very much for making time for us and welcome to WION The World as one.
Thank you.
Professor, President Biden is trailing Trump in the latest polls. Even former President Barack Obama is worried that Joe may not make the cut next year, and now the president is taking it out on his staff. Talk to us about these 3 scenarios: the opinion polls, the Obama worry, and Joe's outrage.
Well, I mean, I looked over the Monmouth poll that you referred to. It's pretty astonishing. As you pointed out, President Biden's approval rating is 34%, Kamala Harris's 35%. That in itself is a shocker. But if you look at the issue areas which you alluded to, on inflation and immigration, his rating disapproval is over 68%, and even in the 50% on jobs and climate change. Now, I have to make an important point. There is a margin of error in these polls that this states is almost 5% either way. So that could be good news or could be bad news. It could mean that the disapproval number is really not as low. It could be 5% either way. Even so, the numbers are very disheartening. Incidentally, in a Trump-Biden matchup, the Wall Street Journal says Trump would win 47% to 43%, but Haley would beat Biden 51% to 34%, and DeSantis would be evenly tied. All of this, I think, is worrisome for Biden. As far as Obama is concerned, well, certainly Obama is really kind of the background person in this administration. Some even say he runs the administration on foreign policy, particularly on Israel, Hamas. And as far as Joe berating his staff, I mean, clearly it's worrisome, but think about it. What's really behind this? And I think a lot of it has to do with Harris also, because Harris is a very weak vice president as perceived, and against all perception. So Biden, I think, has a shot if he maybe changes his VP, although many feel that he'll never do that because she's a woman, etc. But he needs that because at his age, in the next administration, the fear is that, well, he won't be able to finish administration because of his age, and so he needs a very strong VP, and Harris is not. So he needs to do a lot of fixing and thinking and focusing going forward.
Professor, the staff say they have a plan which includes reminding voters about the flaws of former President Donald Trump and also convincing the Americans that the economy is safe in Biden's hands. What do you make of their plans?
Well, first of all, on the economy, the Monmouth poll interestingly points out that 58%, right, are optimistic about their family's financial situation in 12 months from now, even though they are very pessimistic right now about how Biden handles the economy. So hard to know what that means. As far as the flaws, And I think you bring up a really important point. The mistake I think the Democrats make is that the more they attack the MAGA Republicans and the deplorables, as Hillary Clinton called the Trump supporters, the more Trump surges. Each time Trump has been indicted, he's surged. He is surging ahead of the other Republican candidates. And the Democrats cannot fathom how is that possible that people would vote for Trump. And when they figure that one out, it might be too late and Trump will be president. So I think they have to start thinking a little bit more about figuring out what the flaws are with Biden rather than the flaws are with Trump. And I think that's a tremendous error in the Democrats' planning. The Democrats' policies, the Democrats' approaches are the problem. It is Biden and Harris, particularly Harris, who are the problem. That is why Trump is surging in large part. So they think they need to refocus and reset. By the way, one other interesting statistic is the popularity of Congress. 17%. Can you imagine? Almost the lowest ever. So overall, Americans are very disillusioned with their leaders, from the Congress to the executive branch.
All right. Time is ticking and the elections are nearing. I've been talking to Mark Merowitz, who is the professor at State University of New York Maritime College. Professor Mark, thank you for talking to us today.
A pleasure. Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.